Okay, so this is sort of the abbreviated version of the Texas executive branch. Now, Texas operates what we call a plural executive, which means that we elect more than one member of the executive branch. Unlike the president, who gets to appoint the vice president or nominates his own vice president, but gets to appoint the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Education, that doesn't happen here in Texas. The governor really doesn't have a cabinet. All those people that run the different parts of the executive branch are elected, a plural executive. The real impact on that is it weakens the governor. And this is sort of that Jacksonian democracy thing that we saw coming out of Unit 1, which that the idea is that you don't give one person too much power because they'll become corrupt. Now, when you look at the Mueller scale, which is a scale that measures the strength of governors, usually the Texas governor is near the bottom of that scale. But we are in a big state, and what really gives the governor a lot of power is the power of the bully pulpit, right? Because everybody knows who the governor is. They don't necessarily know who the lieutenant governor is, or the attorney general, or the comptroller. They don't know who those people are. So let's talk real quickly about the governor. And you can look at his qualifications to be governor. I don't want to cover that right here. But let's just talk about the powers of the governor. Well, the governor does have the power of appointment and removal. He can appoint to members to over 200 boards and commissions in the state of Texas. Texas has boards for everything. If you want to, because you have to be licensed. If you want to be a nurse, there's a nursing board. If you want to get a haircut, there's a board that makes you get a license for that. Practice medicine, practice law, you name it, cosmetology. There is a licensing board for that, real estate, you name it. And over a 4-year period, the governor can appoint probably 4,000 people, but he can only appoint those people with the consent of the Senate. And when he sends somebody to the Senate, there's something called senatorial courtesy, which is an informal veto power that a senator has over a governor's appointment from somebody that lives in their district. So if, let's say, the governor wanted to appoint me to a board and my state senator didn't like me, and they would tell the governor, no, I don't want that person's out. Now, they would never tell me that. The governor would never tell me that. They'd probably say, hey, we've had a lot of really good people apply, not this time, maybe next time we'll get you in there. That's how they would do it. Now, once these people are appointed and approved by the Senate, they serve a 6-year term, and it's staggered, meaning that only 1/3 of the board is up every 2 years. Governors cannot remove other governors' appointees and can only remove their own appointees with the approval of the Senate. So there's a limit to that appointment and removal power. The governor can also appoint vacancies to judgeships until there's an election. So the governor does have some appointment and removal power, but the governor has really no power over the other branches of the government. He has no power over the attorney general or the comptroller because they are all independently elected. Now, the legislative powers of the governor is that the governor also gives has a message power. He can give the State of the State address, much like the State of the Union. The governor, as I said, is one of the best known politicians in the state. When he wants to give a speech, it's going to be covered. So that way he has that message, that bully pulpit that he can get out there and help set the agenda as part of his legislative powers. He also has the power to lobby. He can go out and lobby the members of the House and Senate. In fact, if you look where the governor's office is in the Capitol building, it's dead center. And so all day long, you'll see senators and representatives coming in there as the governor is trying to work the magic of trying to convince them to support his programs. The governor also has veto powers. He has a general veto, which means that a bill comes before him, he doesn't like it, he can write veto on it. It can be overridden by a 2/3 vote of the Texas House and Senate, but that's only happened, well, the last time that happened was 1979. So it's rare. In fact, when you look at governors across America, the Texas governor's veto power is pretty powerful. The governor also has the line item veto, which allows the governor to veto a specific line of a spending bill or appropriations bill only. That line item veto has never been overridden. The governor also has a post-adjournment veto, where he can veto something 10 days after the legislature has adjourned. That cannot be overridden because the legislature has adjourned. And the governor has the threat of veto. If the governor says, hey, look, I'm going to veto that, Members of the legislature will say, well, we're not going to try to pass that because he's going to veto it, and our chances of overriding that veto are slim and next to none. The governor can also call special sessions. These are can last to a maximum of 30 days. The governor can call as many as he likes, and the governor sets the agenda of special sessions. You can actually use special sessions to bargain, saying, look, if you guys don't pass this, I'm going to call you back in for a special session. And a lot of legislators don't want to go back in. They just choose not to. The governor has some judicial powers. The governor can fill vacancies on courts when there's a vacancy. If somebody at a local court dies, resigns, or is removed from office, the governor can appoint somebody until the next election. That's an important power. The governor has the power to grant a 30-day stay of execution. If somebody's going to be executed, the governor can give them one 30-day stay of execution. The governor can also pardon people, but only on the advice of the Board of Pardons and Paroles, which he usually appoints. And the governor can also commute sentences, also lessening a sentence on the advice of the Boards and Pardons and Paroles. The governor also has has military powers. He can call out the National Guard in case of a disaster. That's important. And the governor's budgetary power is fairly limited. Let me briefly talk about that. The governor does present a budget, but the legislative budget board pretty much writes the budget. The governor's budget sort of gives them an idea where the budget wants, or where the governor wants the budget to go, but the legislative budget board pretty much writes the budget. The real budgetary power of the governor is the so-called line item veto, which allows him to go through the budget and veto specific lines of the budget. Now, critical to the governor's success is his staff. His staff should be cover a lot of different areas of expertise. Either it's going to be legislative expertise, policy expertise, public relations expertise, technological expertise. These are essential to the governor's success. You should know that there are no term limits on being a governor. The governor has been, the longest serving governor was Rick Perry for 14 years. So that's been about really short for the governor. I'll come back and do a separate video here in a second dealing with the other members of the plural executive.